Hello.
And welcome to Once More, a podcast where two best pals rewatch, re-examine, and review our favorite shows, movies, and TV series. I'm Ryan something.
And I'm Jen Katz, and I'm in love with Xander Harris.
Of
Have you seen Xander?
Yeah.
Have you seen him?
We've known this about you.
Is he here?
He's not here.
He loves me. He doesn't love anybody else. He loves me.
Yes. That's true. All these things are very true.
I've got to go. I've got to go find Xander.
Okay, goodbye. All right, this is my podcast now. Today, we're going to talk about historic houses. So,
I wish we
get
were talking
your napping
about
blanket and pillow,
Oh,
because I'm going to put you to sleep.
Sounds cozy.
Send you to bed.
Well, I wish we were talking about historic houses rather than Xander casting a
oh my gosh,
questionable love spell on the.
It's not questionable. It's completely inappropriate.
It's completely inappropriate. I mean, it's non-consensual.
Yes,
it's not
That's
good.
it.
It's not good.
So today we'll be discussing the 16th episode of the second season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
I love the title of this episode, I have to say.
It's great. It's kind of 50s, and I think the hairstyles in this episode kind of allude to that. This episode was written by Marty Noxon,
a woman.
Marty's back, and directed by James A. Cotner. Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered premiered on the WB on February 10th, 1998.
Just before Valentine's Day. How old would you have been for this Valentine's Day?
I'm trying to... Okay, so this would have been my junior year. Oh my gosh.
Did you get your girlfriend a heart-shaped locket?
So this was a very tumultuous year because I was dating both an underclassman and two upperclassmen.
Wow.
There was drama.
I'm the meme with the math.
There was drama.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay.
Synopsis for Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered goes as follows.
Give it to us.
Everyone loves Xander.
Of course.
When Cordelia succumbs to peer pressure and breaks off her tryst with Xander on Valentine's Day, no less, he convinces a witch to put a spell on Cordelia, which will make her fall in love with him. But when the spell backfires, the women in Sunnydale, except for Cordelia, including Buffy and Drusilla, begin to see Xander in a whole new light.
So it's interesting.
It's one way to put it.
A witch can cast her spell on both a human and the undead, and it has the same effect.
And a slayer.
So this is right. Yeah. Well,
I mean, Buffy's human, but she's supernatural.
Right. She's resurrected.
I love... What?
She was resurrected.
Oh, she was technically at this point. She was resuscitated. Yeah. So that's one of the things, and we're going to get into it as we talk about the episode, that I find super interesting is that the spell works on Drew.
It does.
Amy's a powerful witch.
More than she knows, or at least more than she's leading on.
That's what I think. I think Amy, she didn't do this on purpose, but I think when she turns Buffy into a rat, Giles is like, how did you learn animal transfiguration?
Yeah.
She can call Hecate like that.
And her eyes.
She's a strong witch.
Start looking like old Ripley.
Who?
What's his name? Who played Ripley?
Oh, Andrew Scott.
Andrew Scott's
black
eyes,
marbles.
The black marble eyes. So do we think that Amy's just been practicing her dark magic at home? Here's what I think.
Okay, what you think?
I think she's probably been learning or practicing at home, kind of keeping it under wraps.
Yeah.
Is really only been using it to kind of get through school. Maybe she's phoning it in. As you know, she, kind of
doesn't do her homework
and tries to pass the English assignment using magic.
Yeah.
But it's not until after Xander forces her to cast a spell that we see the dark side of her, and only because
she's under the spell. That's what I think. When we were watching it, and we'll get to it. Let's just go ahead and get into the episode, because I've got thoughts about why she didn't just look at Xander and turn him into a rat.
Hang that out there, and we'll figure out what happens.
Well, I want to get into.
We'll come into it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
There is no in every generation this week. Giles is not narrating.
So
was last week the last one? Is it going to be it? Who knows?
Who knows? say,
Ryan,
whose turn it is.
give the people what they want, Ryan.
Let's hear it.
Give the people what they want. I think they want you. They don't want me. Your voice is much more suited to this.
In every generation, there is a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer.
Oh, man.
All right.
Okay, so we start in the graveyard.
That's a very good place to start for this series.
They seem to do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We got Buffy and Xander, and Buffy's wearing one of her mini neckerchief scarves that she wears this episode.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And she's kind of just sitting on a tombstone. Xander is showing her a locket.
A locket.
Yeah, a nice little silver heart necklace, very of the 90s.
That he has for Cordelia.
Yeah, he got it for Cordelia for Valentine's Day.
How thoughtful.
It's very thoughtful. I hate the conversation they're having about Cordelia, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Buffy. I know Buffy and Cordelia aren't like BFFs, but she's being kind of unnecessarily snarky here in a way. You know, Xander asks her, do you think Cordelia will like it? And Buffy's like, do you think Cordelia knows what that is? Like what a heart is? It's like, hey, Cordy's been helping.
She has been.
She's been helping save everybody's tushies.
She saved everyone, including Buffy, last season.
Come on. Like, let's give Cordelia is abrasive.
She is.
But
aren't they all? Oh, except for Willow.
I mean,
wait, take that back.
You're literally looking at the person who did questionable things while possessed by a hyena.
Right.
But we're going to just let that go.
And has said 1,000 other things to your face.
About you and about Willow.
And about other individuals.
But it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. No,
it's
I think what they're
fine.
doing here is just, I think they're trauma bonding. I guess they're like self-soothing one another, because I think Buffy's pretty miffed about what's going on with Angel.
Yeah, that's probably
her life
true.
and her love life. And then she's found out about Cordelia, which I think Cordelia and Xander just kind of give her the ick overall.
Same.
Not to mention what Xander's done to her best friend.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows?
Which I get that, but she's focusing it all on Cordelia.
She
that's
is.
where I get
That's
a
not
little
fair.
I get a little icked at that.
Yeah.
And you know,
and he does too. And I'm like, you're dating her. You literally
What
have
are
a
you
locket for
doing?
her.
Yeah.
You're standing in a graveyard talking trash about your girlfriend and with your best friend.
it's weird.
Or one of your friends.
Who you've also been
trashy to.
Yeah. And Buffy says, you know, I think you could find someone more better. Who?
Marty.
Are you talking about Willow? Willow's with Oz, and we want Willow to stay over there with Oz. Cordelia is smart. Cordelia is stunning. She's
the next
motivated.
mayor of Sunnydale if she wants to be.
She's got my vote. Xander says something like, I just wish dating was like slaying. Clean and simple and to the point. Cue the vampire coming out of the grave, which...
Point of order.
Point of order. We just discussed this.
Jenny's hot because yesterday we just had this discussion.
Yeah. So on our last episode, when we were talking about... We were just talking about phases, and poor Teresa, may her memory be a blessing, rises as a vampire in the funeral home.
In a coffin.
Not
buried.
How did this guy...
We've had people rise in the morgue as well.
Oh, pork and beans.
And the Ethan Rain episode, wasn't there someone who, or 2 episodes ago, Ted? Well, he was a robot. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Pork and beans.
So yeah, we had pork and beans, but it's like, what are the rules? How long do you have to like wait before someone's buried? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Marty, if you're listening,
write in. Please just explain.
Come on the show and explain how vampire lore and canon and Buffy fit into the writing process.
Yeah, how the siring and how the turning works. We need to know.
Was there like a whiteboard and it was like, oh, hey, here's a good line.
Yeah.
That we could follow. And then someone's like, they have to rise from the ground.
Like I said, there is an explanation from a character in a later season, and you're like, huh. So you have to be buried. Weird, because that's not what happened. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So Buffy slays the vampire, and we get the line, you know,
fighty, kick, kick.
Fighty, kick, kick. They slay the vamp. Buffy says, sorry to say, Xand, slaying is a tad more perilous than dating. And Xander says, well, you're not obviously dating Cordelia. Okay.
Just drop the necklace and drop the axe, Xander.
Come on. And it's like you said, y'all are dating.
You're
okay?
dating.
You're dating.
Why are you going to badmouth a person who is literally kissing you with their mouth?
Make it make sense. So we cut to the credits.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm so excited because we go to Sunnydale High School. And we see Cordelia, who looks like she's a single mom who's working 2 jobs. No, actually, she looks like a parent who's working in an office. She's dressed like a parent.
She does. Yeah.
She's got slacks that fit her great. They're perfectly tailored.
They are.
Some heels.
Mm-hmm.
And like a business shirt.
It's the business shirts this episode that really get me that
yes.
she's got on. She's got like 2
Later
or 3
on that button
episode.
up.
Yes.
Yeah. So she runs up to like the group of girls and she's like, hey, wait up, like calling out for them and they're ignoring her.
Mm-hmm. It's like the mean girl group too.
Oh
right?
yeah. We get Harmony.
In the hallway. They turn around and Harmony's
Yay!
back.
Harmony, played by Mercedes McNabb, who we adore and love and would love to have on the podcast.
And a quick recap for Harmony.
Mm-hmm. Harmony, we saw her a few times in season 1. She's like Cordy's kind of her second.
Mm-hmm.
And now as Cordelia's social standing has dropped, dating Xander, she is
Rising
Queen Bee.
to the top.
So Cordelia catches up to the gang and Harmony's like, oh, sorry, didn't see you. I mean, Cordelia's been yelling after them.
Snarky.
And she's like, well, hey, why didn't you guys call me back last night when you talk about our outfits for the dance? And Harmony just kind of cuts her off. And she's like, oh, you're wearing red and black. Is that what? Oh, no, I think it's one of the other minions who says something. Oh, you're wearing red and black. Is that what Xander likes? The jig is up.
It's
Everybody
out.
knows. Yeah. So one of the other little minions goes, oh, you're wearing red and black. Is that what Xander would like?
So
Cordelia looks stricken. She's like, what does he have to do with this?
Cat's out of the bag.
And we don't know how it got out of the bag, right? We don't know how everybody found out, but everybody knows.
Well, let's see. Last episode, it was phases. So what were they up to last episode?
Oz was a werewolf and they were trying to solve that mystery.
But Cordelia and Xander specifically, how would this have gotten out?
The only way, I mean,
Willow,
but would she be talking about it? Maybe they were just being more open. Who knows?
Okay.
And, you know, Harmony says a girl just has to look good for her geek. And then
great line.
And
Love
then,
that.
you know, she's like, are you guys going to start wearing matching outfits? Because I'm going to vomit. And then just walks away. Like Harmony has fully out Blair Waldorfed.
Hey.
Cordelia at this point. That's what they do. You
careful.
Well, chum in the water. So we cut to the classroom. I think it's like an English class, some kind of literature class.
Mm-hmm.
A teacher's, you know, saying, okay, you got to turn in your assignments. The bell's about to ring. And if you don't turn it in, you fail.
Yeah.
What is up with Buffy's scarf? She's wearing another scarf around her neck.
I really think that this has something to do with the title Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, because I think it's a throwback to kind of the 50s.
Like the show Bewitched?
So Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered was a show tune from the popular Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. I'm going to get this. Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered is a show tune and a popular song from the 1940s Rodgers and Hart musical Pal Joey.
Oh.
So I think with the hairstyles that we see in this episode and with the scarves and with some of like the costuming that we see, I think it is an homage. I think it's like they're trying to get you into a little bit of that nudge, nudge, period, wink, wink.
Yeah. I do not like Buffy's outfit here.
Mm-hmm.
The scarf is fine. Like you said, scarf, the hair, it's like a brown, like a loose fitting camisole and with these brown pants. And the fabric is weird. I don't like it.
What is it? Now, had she had that scarf on with the outfit that she has on the hall, like in a few scenes with the skirt and the black top, black scarf,
I love that outfit. And so they're getting ready to go turn in their papers, and we see Amy.
Amy's back.
Amy's back.
Okay, remind us who Amy is.
Amy, we met in season 1, episode 2 or 3. Sorry, technically 3. Okay. Witch. Where her mother had basically cast a spell to switch their bodies. So her mother,
great.
Yes. So her mother could be young and be a cheerleader and, you know, dark magics ends up in the trophy case, which we saw last episode where Oz is like, hey.
Yeah. Oz was ogling the trophy and it was Catherine the Great, the cheerleading trophy. It was it's Amy's mother who's still captured in that
cheerleading trophy.
So coming all back together.
Yeah.
We have Harmony and Amy back.
Yeah. It's great. We're kind of grounding Sunnydale High School more because for the longest time it was the Scoobies and Giles and like Principal Flutie and Snyder.
Yeah.
And then there were just some like ancillary kids. But now we've got Larry.
Larry's back a little
Jonathan,
bit more.
We've been seeing a lot.
Staircase Cowboy.
Harmony, Amy. It's great. And Amy is played by Elizabeth Ann Allen, who is so great. I think I love Amy. We'll talk more in the spoiler section after the outro. But I think she does a great job in this episode. This episode is very problematic, which we're going to get into. But there's some really good stuff. And like Amy's great. Harmony's great. Yeah. The acting is not an issue with this episode.
No.
It's the violation of Xander mind controlling these women without, it's non-consensual assault.
Right.
That's what I think.
Well,
it is.
No, yes, it is.
It is. Sorry.
It is.
It is. So anyway, but Amy, she's like, hey, you guys going to the Valentine's Day dance at the Bronze? Because everything has to be at the Bronze.
Of course.
No dances held in the school gym. We're going to go to the coffee shop / music venue / bar.
I bet Amy's back in Sunnydale, casting spells at the Bronze Cafe.
Her mom's still locked in a trophy since the day she went away.
Okay. All right.
So we learned there's a Valentine's Day dance at the Bronze. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And Willow's so excited. She's like, yes, my boyfriend's in the band.
Yeah, I love
so
Buffy's
cute.
Like, go ahead, say it. I know you want to.
Yeah.
Like, my boyfriend's in the band.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, basically I've told everyone in this hemisphere, it's just so sweet. She's excited.
She's got a boyfriend.
She's got a boyfriend.
She's been wanting a boyfriend for a while.
And, we're assuming more smoochies have been happening after last week. So.
Well, let's hope so.
I hope. Come on, Oz. Well, maybe not. Well, because
I hadn't been that much mooching because she does reveal that.
Well, we didn't. Yeah. Okay. So.
We're both like,
Yeah. Tight. So everybody's dropping off their paper to the teacher at the front. Xander's the last one, and Amy's in front of him. And Amy just stares at the teacher for a second, and then the teacher says, "Thank you, Amy."
Oh, yeah.
And Amy hasn't dropped off anything. And she leaves. And Xander's like, and he drops off his paper. Cut to the hallway. And I think Willow and Buffy, right?
Yeah. Willow and Buffy and Xander all walk out in the hallway, and Giles comes up.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Before Giles comes up, Buffy said they're talking about Valentine's Day. And because Willow's like, are you sure you don't want to come to the dance? And Buffy's like, nah, my mom and I are going to have a pig out and vid session.
Yeah.
And she's like, that, time honored tradition among the loveless. Xander's like, hey, did you guys see what happened with Amy? And they're like, what do you mean? And he said, she just worked some magic on Miss Beekman, I think is the teacher's name. And they're like, what? You mean like witchcraft? And Willow's like, yeah, like her mom was a witch. And they're like, yeah, Amy shouldn't be messing with that. It went really bad the last time. And then they're like, just kind of let it go. And then Giles walks up looking great,
but also like very, very serious this episode.
He's
just got, you can tell there's a lot that's kind of weighing on his mind, and he just needs to talk to Buffy. He'd like to have a word with her.
Have a sentence even.
Yeah,
such a great line.
I love it when she jabs him a little bit.
Yeah, she's quippy.
She is.
Like a few episodes ago where he's like, I'm flummoxed. And she goes, what's the flum?
Then we have a character who we've been wanting to know where she's been. Miss Calendar.
Jennifer.
Spots Rupert in the hallway.
She does.
They make eye contact.
And she says, Rupert.
And he says, Miss Calendar.
Miss Calendar. So things are still pretty frosty. And you can see Buffy won't even look at her.
No.
Willow and Xander look extremely uncomfortable. And we didn't see Jenny for the last episode or so. Yeah, I mean, she betrayed their trust in a really big way. She knew about Angel's curse. She was sent there to watch Angel. And on Buffy and Giles, or from Buffy and Giles's perspective, they could have, if she would have said something, they could have all gotten together and maybe formulated a plan. Buffy might not have made the choice to have sex with Angel.
Yeah.
It was a big thing to keep from them.
Yeah, she withheld a lot of information that would have been helpful to the people of Sunnydale and the world.
Yeah. And then I think, doesn't she say, like, I really, can we talk? And he says, I've got something to discuss with Buffy.
Yeah.
But I feel like he almost leaves it open if Buffy were to say, no, that's fine, you can go talk to her.
Yeah.
But she says, you're right, let's go.
Yeah, no, Buffy is not forgiving, as we know.
Mm-mm.
And so she gives Miss Calendar a bit of a dirty look, and she says, yes, let's go. And she walks off with Giles.
Yeah.
But behind them,
Oh,
we notice this very interesting poster.
It stands out.
If fourth hour English seems endless, try sitting here for 50 years. And it's a photo of an empty wheelchair.
Yeah.
And the message is
dark.
From the Reader's Digest Foundation: drunk driving kills. Don't ride with a drunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dark.
Dark.
So.
But Giles seems very forlorn.
He does. I think he's very sad.
He's clearly having a hard time kind of processing this.
Yeah.
I think he really likes Jenny, obviously.
Obviously.
He has strong feelings for her, and I don't think he knows what to do. I think he wants to be forgiving, but I think this is something that is big, and she hasn't really offered up much of an apology that we've seen yet.
Well, and I think he's at the point where the initial anger and shock on his part have probably worn off, and he would like to, because remember, he got her almost killed with his Mark of Igon.
Yeah, he kept
his ex-boyfriend came into town.
He's been keeping
causing
some things.
trouble.
Yeah.
But I think what gets him is what happened with Buffy.
That's it.
Buffy feels so responsible for what's happened and what will happen. I mean, last episode, Angel killed her classmate, killed Teresa.
Right. A young girl died.
And so I think he knows, like, he can't let Jenny back in because of Buffy being his responsibility, or his, not responsibility, but his allegiance, right?
No,
so,
it is his responsibility. He's her watcher.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think perhaps maybe Giles is kicking himself a little bit for not having been able to figure that out.
Yeah.
Or get ahead of it. How could he have missed all the signs?
Well,
he might be beating himself up.
I think, yeah, it's a tough thing, tough situation. And we go to the library.
Oh, we do.
Yeah. And Giles is, I think, who asked for, Buffy. She's Buffy asks, like, hey, are you okay? And he says, I'll be fine, but I'm more concerned about you. Yeah. I've been doing some reading on Angelus, and it's not good. He's like, on Valentine's Day, he's prone to very brutal displays of affection. It's gross. And Buffy's like, oh God, like what? And he's like, no, I'm just going to spare you the details. I think it's best if you stay off the streets. I'll patrol. I'll keep an eye on things. He's like, but I think you need to lay low. Because he's probably going to not come after you, but it's basically implied, like, hey, he's going to want to do something splashy and big.
Yeah. Well, he gives her mention that Angel had nailed a puppy to a tree.
Speaking of Angel,
Angelus specifically.
Angelus, we cut to the warehouse lair. Spike is still in his wheelchair. Why hasn't he healed yet? What's with the vampire healing? Do you have questions? Drusilla is opening a jewelry case.
Drusilla has her Valentine's outfit on.
She looks great. She's got like a curly blowout.
Yeah.
Beautiful makeup. They still have her pale. I think Juliet Landau who plays Drusilla. She's very fair skinned. But they've done a good job of showing, like, since Drusilla's been healed, she's got a little bit more vitality. She doesn't look quite so just drawn and sickly. Like, she looks strong and healthy. Yeah. And Spike gave her this necklace, and he's like, do you like it? I think he says fancy it or whatever. And she's like, oh, it's beautiful. And in the middle of him saying nothing but the best, plop, Angelus puts a heart on the table.
Yeah.
And he looks at Spike and gives him kind of a
Yeah. Would you bring her in your chair?
Jabbing Spike. Like, he is getting under Spike's skin.
Yes.
Walked right into that. So he gives Drusilla the heart. He says, happy Valentine's Day, Drew. And Drusilla looks thrilled. She goes, oh, Angel, it's still warm. And
what a gentleman.
wait,
What a
did we say this
romantic.
was going to be our Black Box Theater, or was it something later?
Could be.
No, it's Angel, Drusilla, and Xander at the end where she's like, if you touch a hair on his head, and he's like, what is happening? Okay. Yeah. Sorry. And Spike is like doing deep calming breaths. He's really fucking annoyed. And Angel says, I knew you'd like it. I got it from a quaint little shop girl. It's a great line. It's so gross. David Boreanaz is Angel. Angelus is just great.
Yeah, I'm Angelus. It's very, and I'm saying this as reference because I just finished an interview with the vampire, but it's very Lestat.
Is it? Okay, I need to watch that.
Just, obviously two completely different characters, but in this moment, just kind of being a little sinister, dropping off the heart, and rubbing it in. Someone else's misery. He's really enjoying it.
Yeah, and I mean, he looks at the necklace and he's just kind of like, that's cute. And he puts it around Drusilla's neck, and Spike's like, I'll get it. And he goes, oh, it's done. He's just really fucking with Spike. And he's like, I know Drew gives you pity access. Wow. Which I have to admit, it's so much easier when I do things for her. Like, these guys.
Pity access.
Yikes.
Wow.
Trouble and thruppledom.
One way to put it. I know. There's so much tension building here.
Yeah. And Spike's like, well, you should be worried about that Slayer you're tramping around. Spike is...
He's good.
I love Spike because he gets ruffled. You know what I mean? He's not like cool, calm, and collected. He gets ruffled. What does Angel say? He's like, oh, I'm trying to decide the best way to send my regards. And Spike's like, why don't you just kill her? It's like, quit playing around and kill her. Mm-hmm. And Angel says, lacks poetry. It's like, whatever, buddy. Fucking drama queen. And these three, I just want all the scenes with these three.
I do too. I think it's great.
I love it. Yeah. I absolutely love it. And I think Drew says something like, oh, don't worry, Spike. Angel always knows what to do. And I'm like, oh, y'all are killing him. Y'all are killing him.
He does.
I mean, they're fucking.
They are.
They're
100%.
Absolutely fucking. And Spike is just sitting there having to listen to it.
Oh, I think Spike's involved.
I don't think he is.
You don't think he's, performing a little bit of.
And not out of his choice. I think Angel is wanting to torture Spike.
Oh, for sure.
And that's what I think is
But you don't think Drusilla's, giving him a little bit of loving?
Not with Angel, no. I think maybe they're... yeah.
So he's been sidelined.
And I think that kills him.
Cut to the bronze. Think goes Ain't My Baby.
Which we learn is not... Those guys aren't really singing and playing instruments. It's a real band.
It is a real band.
Yeah. Called 4-Star Mary. Mm-hmm. And we get Devin, who's the lead singer, who we've seen... who was kind of dating Cordelia when we first met Oz. And
that's right. I'd forgotten.
Devin's wearing a silk white shirt that you were like, is that a woman's pajama shirt? Which
it's like a woman's pajama shirt or like just a very silky pirate shirt. He's
just he's just giving it his all.
He must not be sweating, because if he was, that thing would not look the way that it did.
Translucent. So we see the band playing and we look at, who's Willow? Is Willow sitting with Xander?
I didn't see Willow there.
She is, yeah, because she looks up at Oz and she's smiling, and Oz looks at her and he's smiling. Oh, yeah, she's sitting with Xander. That's right.
Okay.
And then Miss Cordelia Chase walks in.
This is the only thing I remember about this scene, because
that
it's
red
a showstopper.
Dress.
Yeah.
With her hair.
Slay.
Yeah. Oh, it is cute when Willow's like smiling at Oz and she looks at Xander. She's like, I think I'm a groupie. Yeah, Cordelia walks in, just no notes.
Takes all the air out of the room.
Hair is great. Shoes are great. Dress is great. Makeup, she looks stunning. And Xander goes over to talk to her. And okay, did you notice what Xander was wearing?
No.
He's got a black jacket, big lapels. He's wearing a silver colored shirt underneath, also big lapels. And Cordelia's comment is like, wow, your clothes, you actually look nice. And I'm like, no, he doesn't.
What?
Yeah.
No, I didn't notice. I only noticed Cordelia's outfit.
And he says, yeah, thanks, Buffy dressed me. I mean, not literally dressed me, picked out my clothes. And look, I got to press the button.
sick. I need help.
I just can't.
We just didn't need all that.
We
Xander.
just didn't. Before we get into their big breakup, we cut back to Buffy's house, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, is that in the middle of this?
I think it's in the middle of this. We cut
Yeah.
back to Buffy's house, and Buffy and her mom are plopped on the couch, eating junk food.
Yeah. And Buffy
Watching
looks so
videos.
cute. She's
Looks
got a little like jammy spaghetti strap shirt that says hug me. I think it's like a
Mhm.
duck on it or something. And yeah, they've got, like you said, junk food scattered all on the coffee table. It looks like a great time.
Joyce stands up to go in the kitchen.
Yeah, because they hear a knock on the door
Yeah.
and Buffy's like, I'll get it. She goes to the front door. There's no one there.
No,
She goes back to the living room.
no Joyce.
No Joyce.
And she starts getting this feeling, like
Yeah.
her instincts are kicking in.
Yeah. Goes
And
to the kitchen, right?
She hasn't uninvited Angel from the house yet, has she?
No.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous. And
So-
I don't even think she's thought about it yet, to be honest.
She goes to the kitchen looking for Joyce, and she can't find Joyce.
Nope.
She starts to worry. You can tell like there's a little panic setting in. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, Joyce appears from outside.
Yeah. She's like, Buffy, it's just me.
Just me. I heard something outside, and sure enough, someone left a package.
Like a big box.
Right, a flower box.
Buffy opens it. Well, but I think Joyce says, "Oh, they're for you."
Mhm.
Buffy opens it, and there's like a dozen red roses
Mhm.
with a note that says "soon."
That's it. But I mean, we know where it came from.
We know.
Yeah.
So we go back to the bronze, and before Xander goes and talks to Cordelia, I think doesn't she try to go talk to Harmony in the group, and they just literally turn away from her?
Probably, yeah.
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 Mean girl behavior all over the place
Mean
this
girls.
episode, which as a former high school student, that does happen. Girls are mean. Okay. So then we get
Here we are.
Here we are.
In the middle of the Valentine's Day dance.
Yep. Xander
After
gives her the necklace.
Cordelia has complimented Xander on his outfit. He gives her a necklace, and she's like, hey, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, she's like, you're making this so much harder. Because doesn't she say the necklace is beautiful? Like, she's very surprised.
She was surprised.
Yeah. And, Xander's trying in his own fumbly bumbly way. He's like, I've been thinking about us. He's like, maybe you could chalk this all up to hormones, and maybe that's all it is, but maybe not. Maybe something in you sees something special in me, and maybe
Okay.
something in me sees something special in you. And
He's trying to be romantic.
he's trying. And then she's like, I want to break up.
Yeah, straight to it.
Straight to it.
Should have given her a pocket watch. Come on.
Did you learn nothing from
season
Owen?
one.
Uma Thurman himself?
your buddy, your pal.
Your good pal. Angel's good pal.
Listen, they're all bros.
They're all suck fast. Yeah, I remember that look. We'll never forget that up and down that Owen gave Angel.
Lots of sucking going on in Sunnydale. One
Wow!
way or another. I don't know.
Wow.
Just putting it out there.
Well, here we go. Okay, so
Checks flights to Sunnydale.
well, there is an international airport
And a bus terminal and a train station.
and a boat
and
dock.
a dock port.
You can get there a myriad of ways. Okay,
Which is great for vampires because they can come in by ship
it's very, very welcoming, very
and
inclusive.
ride in the hole the entire time. It's dark,
It's dark, cold, drafty, full of rats.
rats.
Okay.
Speaking of rats,
Here we go.
let's carry on.
Okay. So Xander's like, all right. And she says, it's just, who are we kidding?
Oof.
Even if parts of us do see specialness, we don't fit with each other. And he's like, do you know what's a good day to break up with somebody? Any day besides Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day.
He's very upset. And she's like, I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this. And he's like, but you did. And he just,
You ever been dumped on Valentine's Day?
no,
You ever dumped anyone on Valentine's Day?
not that I can recall.
Okay.
No, I did
If
get a
you were
heart
dumped-
necklace.
Oh,
on
you
vac-
did?
I did.
Nice. You still have it?
Fuck no. I don't know what I did with it, but I don't have it. Yeah, it was. Well, anyway, we don't have to get into that. So
You re-gift it?
I think I probably threw it away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't care. Okay, so we go to school
The
the
next day.
Oof, this is tough.
Listen.
Tough.
I don't like Xander
No.
for a myriad of reasons.
Unfurl the scroll.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Go back and watch all of our episodes. But it still stings as a
Mhm.
teenager to go to suffer a breakup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yo.
Especially one that is on Valentine's at the Valentine's Day dance with the most popular girl
When you just
in
gave
school,
her a necklace.
when you just bought her a necklace and actually, made an attempt to try to see if there's more there and maybe want to take the next step. And she just cuts it off. Then to show up to school the next day.
Tough.
And the cat is out of the bag already. And the first thing you hear is a jock kind of dude coming around the corner. And he's like, dude, heard you got dumped. Oh my God.
It hurt. It hurt to watch.
And as he's spinning around, probably reeling from that, you've got Harmony piling on. It's like, maybe you should learn another language so more girls can reject you.
And Cordelia's sitting next to her as she says it.
Sitting next to her.
Yeah. Tough.
Listen, I don't like the guy, but that would hurt for anyone.
1,000%.
Period.
Yeah, it's not good. So he and then he sees Buffy and they're in the hallway and Buffy's like, she's woman on a mission, fashion slay. She's got a cheetah print skirt with a little slit, a quarter sleeve black V-neck like tucked into the skirt.
10 out of 10.
She looks great.
No notes.
And he's like, Buffy, you'll never believe. And then she's like, hey, can't talk. Gotta go. It's Angel. And she heads to the library. After that, the guy in the hallway, Harmony's jab, and the fact that Cordelia doesn't say anything. And Xander decides to seek out Amy.
Yeah, he realizes that he's kind of the laughingstock of the school right now.
Yeah, and when he sees Amy, the way he grabs her, I was like, sir.
The way he grabs her.
He grabs her and he's like, Amy, good to see you. You're a witch.
Grabs her arm like this.
And she's like, what are you doing?
Very aggressive. He's like, throws her underneath the staircase. And he's like, listen, I know you've been practicing magic.
Yeah. And she's like, no, that was my mom. And he was like,
cut the bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw what you did with the teacher and the homework. She's like, what do you want? He's like, you're going to work for me now.
Yeah. And he's like, I want some respect around here. I want to be the guy that comes on top. I want the Hellmouth to be working for me.
Sorry.
Good God. And he tells her we're going to cast a little spell.
He is.
Yeah. And he's looking at Cordelia. And then I do like the scene of Amy, Elizabeth Ann Allen plays it so well. She does this behind him.
Yeah, she does a great look.
Okay. She's intrigued.
She's in.
And
she's like, I'll play along.
They go to I guess a science lab, and Amy says, you want to do a love spell? And he's like, yep, I want this. I want someone that they can't eat, they can't sleep, they can't breathe anything but moi.
Right. Until they've succumbed to me or something.
Yeah. And she's like, I mean, that's the hardest thing to do. You want someone to love you for all eternity. And he's like, no. I want her to desperately want me, and then I want to reject her.
Right. He wants to break up with her the way that she did to him in front of everyone. And make her feel the way that he feels, basically.
Yeah, it's about revenge.
It's about revenge.
It's a revenge spell.
It's this toxic, masculine, fragile ego behavior of, I've been rejected, so I'm going to lash out at everyone. White
boy gets his feelings hurt, and everybody's got to pay.
That's it.
Tales as time. Yeah. So she's kind of like, I don't know, Xander, when you do a love spell, you have to have pure intent. He's like, I'm pure. Revenge is pure, or something like that. And she's
maybe Amy was onto something.
I know.
They cast a spell.
Well, she tells him that she needs something of hers, and he's like, okay, I'm on it. So he goes to the hallway, and he gets to Cordelia. He's like, hey, I want the necklace back. She's like, are you joking? You gave it to me as a gift. He's like, no, I want to melt it down for scraps or something. And this.
Yeah. She's like, well, it's in my locker. He's like, okay, well, that's fine. Let's go get it.
This got me.
They walk to the locker, and when Cordelia opens the locker, you can see a hesitation on her face.
Yeah.
And in that moment, in that hesitation, you realize she didn't really want to break up with Xander, but this was more of a peer pressure. She didn't want to look uncool. She didn't want to be the butt of the jokes. She wanted to be Queen Bee.
Which we've all been in, a situation where we maybe didn't do something. We did something we didn't want to, to save face
Mm-hmm.
or to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she reveals that she's actually wearing the necklace.
I know that gets me every time I watch this episode.
She takes it off and you can tell she's kind of got a disappointed look on her face. I think she's disappointed in herself, but that quickly ends when she slams the locker and she's like, here, fine.
Yeah. Take it by.
Take it by. I don't want this piece of junk.
Yep.
Teenagers.
Yeah.
Love. C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. A werewolf in love.
A weirdo in love.
Yeah. So we go to the library and Buffy like slams the note in front of Giles, the one that says soon.
Uh-huh.
And Giles is like, where did this come from? And Buffy's like, Angel sent it with flowers. And she's like, hey, now's not the time for you to be Mr. Protective Guy.
Yeah.
You need to tell me about Angel because how can I protect myself? Yeah. And to Giles's credit, he's like, you are absolutely right.
You're right. Yeah. Hey,
lesson
learned with Miss Calendar.
So we go to the science lab. And this is the same day, everybody. This is all happening in the same day, I guess. Well, this part is the next day, but it just seems like a lot.
There is a lot.
There's a lot happening.
Buckle up. We're moving fast.
Amy starts the spell and she's invoking Diana. Now, I'm not an expert in Greek and Roman.
Go ahead.
Okay. Production's going to do some intel, but I'm not an expert in Greek and Roman mythology. I am, however, I have a history degree. I've studied it. My 6-year-old is obsessed with Greek mythology right now. Diana is the Roman equivalent of Artemis, and she's the goddess of the hunt and virginity and the moon. And I feel like if you're doing a love spell, one would want to invoke Aphrodite or Venus. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why Amy invokes Diana, and maybe
that's where this went wrong.
Maybe, but even at the end, doesn't Giles say Diana, goddess of love? She's not.
So according to Wikipedia,
what we got?
And according to the World History Encyclopedia, Diana was the goddess of childbirth, fertility. Mm-hmm. She was the fertility goddess, the goddess of the moon, as well as the patron goddess of wild beasts in Roman mythology.
Yeah. And Artemis is her Greek counterpart. She's twins with Apollo.
She's also a patroness of the countryside, of nature, of hunters, of wildlife, of crossroads, the night. She's equaled with the Greek goddess Artemis.
So it's just interesting because in Greek mythology, Aphrodite is the goddess of love and her Roman counterpart is Venus. Anyway, just was interesting. But we see Xander's like sitting on the ground with his shirt off and like red paint on him. He's holding a black candle.
Is it paint or is it blood?
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun. She's got the necklace over like a science beaker with some liquid and she's casting her spell. Then all of a sudden we see
Professor Gregory would be so proud of these two right now. R.I.P. buddy.
We remember you. May your memory be a blessing. And swirly, like good CGI, kind of like flamey, swirly magic comes up.
The magic budget, great.
Looks great.
Wow.
Looks really good. And she tells Xander to blow out the candle.
This is what you do in a love spell. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
You blow the candle out.
Blow the candle out.
Okay.
We go to Sunnydale High School. Xander's walking in the halls. He's kind of like waiting to see what happens. He goes up to Cordelia and she's sitting with Harmony in the group. And he's like looming over them, you know, and she goes, what? Like, what do you want? And he's like, so. Mm-hmm. He's getting closer and closer. And she's like, hey, are you stalker boy now? Like, what's going on? And he's like, so you're not in love with me? She's like, I would think not. Why don't you go find some other cheap metal from Small Mart to melt down or cheap jewelry or something? And he's like,
man,
my mistake. And he walks away. So the love spell didn't work. Cordelia is definitely not in love with him.
No, she's not.
No. Go to the library.
Back to the library.
Here we go.
And Giles has told Buffy that Angel nails a puppy to a tree. And Buffy's like, skip it. I don't have a puppy. What else has he done?
But before we can get any more information, Xander comes in. He's like, just use me as bait. And Buffy's like, to capture Angel. And he's like, I meant more so like chop me up and put me in with the fish as kind of bait and my life would be better than it is now or something.
Yeah. Hey, listen, teenagers, like you feel like your whole world has ended when you get rejected.
Teenagers. So Buffy is an absolute slay with this sheer long sleeve white top with a little white cami underneath.
Yeah, it's kind of ivory. Yeah.
I can't tell what her pants are, but she looks great.
Looks great.
And, you know, Xander says his little line about being bait, and Buffy stands up and she goes over and she's like, yeah, you know, I heard about you and Cordelia, but that's her loss. And Xander's like, yeah, well, that's not what everybody else thinks. And she says,
Buffy's got this look on her face.
She does.
And as the audience, you're like, hold on.
When you first watched this episode, were you thinking like, what the fuck is happening?
I'm not going to tell the audience what I thought the first time I watched this episode.
So Buffy says, you know, why don't you and I do something together tonight? And she's kind of saying very seductively, just the two of us. And he's like, what, really? She says, yeah, we can comfort each other. And then he says, would lap dancing enter that scenario at all? Because I find that very comforting. And then he like smiles and laughs. And I'm just like,
I'm sick. I need help.
Shut the fuck up, Xander. Shut the fuck up, Xander. Shut the fuck up, Xander. Shut the fuck up, Xander.
Why would he even go there? This isn't your girlfriend.
This is the friend you sexually assaulted.
Your friend.
Or almost sexually assaulted.
Your friend. And you're asking her for a lap dance?
Yep. And then she's like, well, if you play your cards right. And I remember the first time I watched this, I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was like, whoa.
I thought they were doing kind of what they did in Phases last week, where they're in the funeral home and she hugs him and they're looking at each other like, are we really going to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had the moment in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are now, and she's leaning in. We know that she's sad about Angel.
Yes.
We know that it's Valentine's Day. We know that he's been dumped. So in this moment, for a moment,
yeah,
I'm thinking Buffy's like, hey, you're lonely. I'm lonely too. We can comfort each other. Yeah. And she's just like throwing caution in the wind, but it's not like her character.
No, because it really just comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere.
And he's like,
but it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. And he's like, you do know it's me, right? And she's like, well, yeah, you know, I mean, I was really surprised at how happy I was when I heard you guys broke up. And then she says, you know how you can see someone every day, but not really see them, you know? And she's like up in his face. She's putting her finger on his lips and like runs it down.
She knows how to tease Xander. We've seen it in the slinky dress dance.
The slinky sexy dance. Yeah. And then Amy walks in and she's like, hey, Xander, can I talk to you for a minute?
And Amy's a slay too.
Amy is a slay.
She's put her nice outfit on.
And Xander's like, yeah, okay. Like, you know, he has to scuttle out of that library.
Yeah, I think he's like, hold on a second. Like, we're having a conversation here. She's like, no, like now. And so he's like, you know, be right back.
Needs to grab his backpack on the way out.
No shit. Yeah, needs to grab a cold shower.
When Amy and Xander get outside the library, she's like, hey, I think the spell went wrong. And he's like, yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, he's like, I'll take this spell.
And he's like looking in the window and Buffy's like, he can see Buffy in the library and she's like
making eyes.
She's making eyes. Oh.
She's squirming.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, when she gets to play.
When she does that, listen, there's a reason they cast her as Katrin. And
is her name Katrin or Catherine?
Catherine.
Okay, sorry. I'm wondering if I had it wrong when I was talking about it yesterday.
I don't know. We go back and forth on it. So, but yeah, it's Cruel Intentions.
I mean, she's a brilliant actor, but one of my favorite things in Buffy, and I've mentioned this, when she gets to play outside of Buffy.
Outside of the Buffy character. It's great.
It's great. And he's like, okay, well, you know, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. Because I think Amy's trying to apologize. She's like, I'm really sorry. I'm still new to this. He's like, no, you're fine. I shouldn't have meddled in the dark arts. Gotta go. And she's like, oh, well, let's hang out. You know, we don't have to cast any spells. And he's like, what? And she said, you know, I like spending time with you. You're so sweet. And she's kind of like all but doing this, you know?
Yeah. And we're quickly realizing that the spell worked, but it didn't quite work the way that Xander had hoped that it would.
Yeah, because she echoes what Buffy just said. She's like, it's funny how you can see a person every day. And he finishes it. He goes, not really see them. She goes, yeah. So anyway, and then it's one of Cordelia and Harmony's like minions walks up and they're like, this girl with, I think you said she looks like a Stepford wife with her hair, the 50s, like beehive kind of and like the flipped ends, curled ends. She's like, hey, Xander, you're in that history class, right? I was thinking we could sit next to each other. So the dominoes are falling here. Xander rapidly figures out that something's amiss.
Yeah.
And he just leaves school because the next scene is him in his house, back in his room. And he's like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, the covers get thrown over, and it's Willow. And he screams.
Willow's in his bed.
Wearing one of his shirts.
Under the covers.
Yeah, because she's got like a big plaid flannel shirt on.
Yeah.
Yep.
With what looks to be nothing underneath it.
And he, jumps up in surprise and he's like, and she said, oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to surprise you. And he's immediately nervous. He's like, good job. And she's like, don't be so jumpy. I mean, Willow's talking like she's a vixen. Like,
it's great.
I'm here for it.
We don't get to see the side of her.
Yeah. She's like, I've been in your bed before. And he's like, yeah, we were 5 and in footy pajamas.
Yeah.
And she goes, Xander, I've been thinking. And he's like, yep, nope, I get it. This is my fault. I cast a spell, it backfired. And she's like rubbing the bed. And he's like backing up.
Yeah.
And
she stands up.
And she's like, well, we've been friends for a long time, but people change. They get closer. And she gets up and she's like approaching him and he's stepping back. And, she's like, I want you to be my first. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And he's like, this episode is problematic. Xander is committing a really gross offense against all these women. But this line did make me laugh when he says, Baseman, please tell me we're talking about baseball.
Wow.
And she puts her hands on him and she's like, shh.
Oh, yeah.
And they're talking and she tries to kiss him and he's like moving his head away. And then she bites his ear. Willow Rosenberg bites his ear.
Spicy.
It's spicy. And he's like, what about Oz? And she's like, Oz is sweet, but I want you or something that. It's like, oh my God. Allison Hannigan kills it.
We got Buffy, we have Amy, we have Willow now throwing themselves at Xander.
And, random Harmony minion number 2. And okay, I don't like this line that Willow says because Xander, he does say, he's like, hey, I don't want to use force. And she's like, force is okay. Mm. That in itself, what you want to do in the privacy of your own intimate moments, love that for you. Willow would 1,000% never say something like that. And it feels weird to have a teenager saying that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Listen, that's the whole thing about much of this episode.
Yeah.
All of this is spicy. The outfits are great.
But they're teenagers.
But let's remember at this time period.
Not in real life, but
I think
they're playing teenagers.
Yeah, they're playing teenagers.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a teenager when this came out.
You were?
Yeah.
I was not. Okay.
You weren't even born.
And Xander's like, okay, because he does finally push her away. He's like, it's time for me to act like a man.
Yeah.
And run. And he just leaves.
It's such a strange episode.
And it's, as you mentioned, it goes so fast. Like now we're snippety snapping.
Here we go, folks.
Cordelia gets to school and she's in the hallway and Harmony and all the minions are like, Harmony's outfit, slay.
Yeah.
It's a wrap dress with like a pink and red print.
Yeah.
With her long blonde hair.
Something you totally wear.
I would absolutely wear that dress.
Yeah.
She's like, what did I do now? Wear the wrong colors together, which can feel like that when you're going up against mean girls. Like anything you do is not going to be right. And they're like, you know what you did. You broke Xander's heart. And she's like,
what?
Cordelia's like, what?
Right. You're welcome. And,
she's like, you guys wanted me to break up with him. And Harmony's like, no way. Only a sick puppy would break up with someone like Xander. Cordelia like, what is happening?
Yeah, we're all wondering that.
Goes through the hallway. This is the slow motion walk through the hallway.
So he goes back to school.
Yeah, why? I guess, he's escaping Willow.
Is this the next day? I can't.
No, it's the same day. Okay. He's going to try to talk to Giles because he needs help.
Right.
He's walking through the hall. And what's the song playing? The song Got the Love by the Average White Band. And all the girls are like
fawning over him. And it's a whole hallway sequence of background great. Extras, all of them just
having a ball.
All over. Eyes all over Xander.
Yeah. And he's like just trying to get to the library. He's very like distressed. And
we see all sorts. We see teachers. We see the
The
lunch lady at one point
yeah.
comes out. She's following him.
So funny. And he goes to Giles. He's like, Giles, I need your help. And Xander and Giles is like, what did you do? And he's like, he tells him, I made a mess. I found Amy. She's into witchcraft. I made her put the love whammy on Cordelia and it backfired. Now everyone in Sunnydale wants to make me her cuddle monkey. And Giles, before he can say anything, who comes into the library?
Buffy Summers.
No, first.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Who comes into the library?
Ms. Calendar comes into the library.
Jennifer Calendar.
Jenny C needs to talk to Giles because this, communicate, right?
Yeah.
She's like, hey, we're not talking. We need to talk about this. And she wants to address the issue with Giles. But before we can get to the issue with Giles, she's like, oh, hey, Xander.
I love this so much.
Have you been working out?
Yeah.
And immediately Giles is like, oh, no.
Because it's Rovia Lamort who plays Jenny is so funny. She's like, Rupert, we need to talk right now. Hey, Xander, this has got to end. Nice shirt.
Yeah.
And then she's like,
it's great.
So
and
funny.
Giles is probably very annoyed because he wants to hear what Jenny has to say.
Yes.
He's got the issue with Angelus floating over everyone's head.
Who's going to murder them all.
He's got a mess that he's got to clean up with Xander. And he lays into Xander. He's like, you can't be messing around with love spells because they can turn into, they can be deadly. People
become unhinged, basically.
Yeah, they're no longer themselves and they'll do anything, including,
they become so obsessed.
They're obsessed. And so he's angry and he's like, I don't have time to talk about this right now. And Jenny Calendar's all over, starting to get all over Xander. And he's like, okay, well, let me take care of her and I'll be back. Right.
Well, and as Giles is laying into Xander, Jenny's behind him going like,
yeah. She's laying it on too, which is great.
It's
fun.
Great.
It's fun.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, have you taught? Well, and they're about to leave, but he's like, have you got Amy to reverse the spell? And he's like, Xander tells him, every time I try to talk to Amy, she wants to like make out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And Giles is like, okay, I'm going to go figure this out. And he starts to leave. Then he realizes he can't leave Jenny there.
So he takes her back to her classroom.
And she's like, no,
Xander. On the way out, she's like, no. Xander's like, man, I can't get a break. And before he has a chance.
Well, he tries to barricade the library, but he only puts the desk in front of one door.
Well, the library doors swing out.
Yes.
And he put the card index, by the way.
Is that what that is?
It's the card. It's
I didn't know. Yeah. That's funny. It was a card catalog.
Card catalog. Thank you very much. It was the card catalog that he puts up against the door, but the doors swing out. And so he's sitting in front of the card catalog and the door swings open and it's Buffy. And
it sure is.
What's she wearing?
She's wearing
or not.
It's a
it's probably easier to say what she's not wearing.
Mid-thigh trench coat, belted coat.
Hot.
And
I'm sorry.
I know.
It's a hot jacket.
It is. And Sarah Michelle Gellar looks amazing. It's just like we've said, she's a 17-year-old,
right?
Portraying a 17-year-old. In real life, Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, was 19 or 20, but
I was 18.
It was she's wearing like some high heels.
Mm-hmm.
Her legs legs are out. This is a mid-thigh jacket.
Yeah.
And he's like, Buffy, you gave me a heart attack. And she says, oh, I'm going to give you more than that. And she's like about to untie it. And he goes, for the love of God, don't open that raincoat. And she's like, come on, it's a party. Aren't you going to open your present?
Oh my God.
I hate it, but Sarah Michelle Gellar's so good.
From anyone else, this is great. Sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah. And he's like backing up and he kind of falls back against the stairs. And he's like, look. It's not that I don't want to.
Yeah.
But this isn't you. I can't do this.
Is more than I'd expect from Xander in this
honestly,
moment, quite frankly.
And she like puts her leg on his chest and he's like, I can't do this.
Oh yeah. She backs him onto the staircase.
Yes.
And then she steps over his chest.
Yeah.
Buddy.
And fella.
Lady. Madam.
Damn. And he's like, I can't do this. This isn't you. And she's like, oh, so is this all a game?
Oh, yeah. Then it turns deadly.
Yep. And then Amy comes in.
And Amy's like, oh, I should have known.
Yeah. Amy comes in.
Amy
She's
comes
like,
in.
get away from him. He's mine. And Buffy's like, I don't think so, toots.
Yeah.
And
Buffy's got her ears pricked. She's ready to fight.
Oh, I know. And Amy says, he doesn't want you. I know what his heart wants. And Buffy says, funny, I know what your face wants. And punches Amy in the face.
Yeah.
Is on now. And
great line.
All right. So after Buffy hits Amy.
Yeah. Amy gets ticked off.
She goes black marble eyes.
She does. She starts casting a spell. She calls in Hecate.
Yeah. Who is traditionally a goddess of witchcraft.
Right.
And she's like, let work thy will. And she turns Buffy into a rat.
She does. We get the special magic effects again.
Mm-hmm. And Xander's like, oh my God.
Yeah, this matters couldn't get worse. The Slayer's now been turned into a rat.
And then Giles comes back in with Jenny. He's like, what happened?
Yeah, what just happened in here? Because the magic made quite the impression on the school, I can imagine.
Yeah, and he's like, Buffy's a rat. And Giles is like, oh my God, well, we have to catch her. And so Giles and Xander try to catch Buffy. When Xander's kind of on the ground. Oh, sorry, before we get that. Jenny goes over to Amy and she's like, who do you think you are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Amy starts getting the old marble eyes again and starts casting her spell. And Xander quickly puts his hand over her mouth. And it's like, okay, no. Giles is not happy.
No. And like Amy and Jenny have some good quips because Jenny's like, hey, why don't you just undo your little magic trick, get lost? And Amy says, who made you the queen of the world? But I mean, you are old enough to be.
Oh no, that hurts because Jenny's like 24.
I know, right? Like she's younger than we are now. And yeah, she tries to curse Jenny and Xander stops it. And then we cut to Cordelia's in the hallway and she gets confronted by Harmony. She's like, what is it now? You don't like my locker combination? And Harmony's like, you never loved him. Cordelia is very much like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What does she say to Harmony? She's like, if you need some of my My Doll, Harmony, just ask. Doesn't Harmony hit her?
So great.
It's great. Oh, yeah, she slaps her.
It's very catty. There's a cat fight. There's all this, snarky stuff going back and forth because they're all in love with Xander, apparently.
Yeah. And so we leave the hallway after Harmony slaps Cordelia, and Giles has had enough. And he's like, Amy and Jenny, he's like, you two sit. He's like, we're gonna catch Buffy. And Xander like goes and he's like squeezing in a bookcase, and he almost gets her, but before he can catch her, he gets punched in the face.
He does, and it's Oz.
Oz is like, hey,
I don't know what happened, but I was at my house and I had a very strong urge to hit you. Yeah,
because he said he spent all night on the phone with Willow, who was crying.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
He's like, I spent all night on the phone with Willow, who's crying over you, and I just had this urge to hit you.
Yeah.
And he helps Xander up.
He does.
And they're like, hey, we're trying to find Buffy. And Oz is like, okay, where is she? And he's like, she's a rat. So.
Poor Giles.
Yeah.
He really doesn't have the patience for all of this.
No, I do. And Oz is even when he's like done something violent, he's like very calm.
Yeah.
He's like, Amy turned Buffy, or Xander says, Amy turned Buffy into a rat. And Oz just goes, oh, huh. So they're looking for her. And Giles is, he's had enough. He's like, why don't you just go home and lock yourself away?
Yeah.
He has had it.
Please.
And
for the rest of the series,
he says, go get out of my sight. And so Xander has the nerve to look at Giles like, oh, me.
Yeah, you, buddy.
Yeah. And so Oz is going after Buffy because she has escaped Rat Buffy. And which, fun fact, they had Sarah Michelle Gellar at the time was hosting Saturday Night Live. And she was kind of doing double duty. They were filming Buffy and she was hosting Saturday Night Live. So they had her turn into a rat because she was filming in New York.
She wasn't on location.
On location.
Got it.
So
cool.
Yeah. And apparently she also had a really bad cold or was sick. So there was a lot of stuff going on with Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a busy time for her.
If you notice the scene where she was wearing the white, she looks a little pale, and that's because she was sick.
And then there's another scene where it looks like she's clearly had some sun.
Yeah.
So maybe that was spray tan because she looks sick. I don't know.
Or maybe the lighting. They were trying to brighten her up. Okay.
But this was a very busy time for her because at this moment, not only is she doing SNL, but she's also filming Cruel Intentions, which was a huge hit for her.
Huge. So we cut to Xander leaving, and we hear Cordelia, like, she's yelling. She's like, you guys are crazy. Get off me. I mean, all the girls are on top of her.
Yeah.
And Harmony's like, you thought you could do better. Is that it? And they're like yelling. And someone says, we'll knock that snotty attitude right out of you.
Yeah.
And Xander like makes his way through and he scoops up Cordelia and they skedaddle. I mean, someone's like pulling her hair. I mean, it's very violent.
Yeah. I made a note at this moment that this is one wild ride. It's like a runaway train. Like
1,000%.
Like what's going to happen next? And just when you think you know, hang on.
So
they take off.
They take off and we go back to the library and Giles is trying to get Amy. He's like, hey, you got to turn Buffy back and you got to reverse this. And he's like, so you must have botched the ritual. So Cordelia's necklace actually protected her from the spell. So this should be easily reversible. And then he's like, wait, where did you learn animal transformation? Because he's noticed at that point, he's like, that's really powerful magic for a teenager to be able to do.
Yeah.
And then Amy doesn't even respond. She goes, why did you make Xander leave? He needs me. And Jenny starts laughing. And they're like going back and forth. Like, what we have is real. Our love is true. And Giles is like, I've had it. This is not love. This is obsession. This is selfish, banal obsession. And Jenny's like trying to leave to go to Xander.
Yeah. No, again, Giles has reached his peak with all of this stuff going on.
He's had enough. And he finally gets through to them by saying, Xander has put himself in very grave danger. If you care at all about him, you'll help me save him.
Yeah.
And Amy's like, Xander's in danger? And he's like, let's go to some work. And then he's like, Jenny. And then she's fully gone.
Jenny's
like,
gone.
Great.
She took off. What's interesting is that Cordelia and Xander don't go to his home or her home. They go to Buffy's home.
Before they do that, they go to the courtyard of the school because they're trying to leave. And
okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So Xander and Cordelia have exited the school. They're in the courtyard and they're like, okay, I think we lost him. And then they look up. There's a mob of women.
Yeah.
Willow's holding an axe.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And she's crying.
Alison Hannigan nailing it.
You
She's
can
like,
tell it was, never mind.
What were you going to say? And Willow's beside herself. She's like, I should have known I'd see you with her. And he's like, Willow, you don't want to hurt me. And Willow's like, you don't know how hard this is for me, but I love you so much. I'd rather see you dead. Cover your ears. I'd rather see you dead than with that bitch.
Wow. Willow.
So she raises the axe and everybody just bum rushes Xander and Cordelia. Harmony grabs Willow's axe and because she's yelling at Willow, get away from him. He's mine. And they're all fighting and Xander and Willow make their escape and then the mob chases after them. It's intense. And now we kind of do like a little in and out cuts from Rat Buffy to what's happening with everybody else. So we see Rat Buffy's in the basement scurrying around.
Okay.
Oz has a flashlight looking for her.
Okay.
And then we go back to Xander and Cordelia. And instead of going to Xander's house.
Yeah. They go to Buffy's house. They knock on the door and Joyce answers.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just walk right in.
I think they knock. And because Joyce answers the door. She's like, what in the world? And what did she say? Oh, she gets in. She's like, what happened, you guys? She sends Cordelia. She's like, Cordelia, you go get some bandages.
It's so great because we know what's going to happen here.
We know what's going to happen.
And Xander sits. She's like, Xander, come in the kitchen. She's like, let me make you a tea.
You want hot or cold?
Hot or cold? And he's like, I don't really care. She's like, because I was thinking hot.
It's more of a hot night.
She starts putting her arm around his shoulder and his chest, and he's like, oh, good God. And he puts his head down on the table.
She's like, oh, you are so tense.
Yeah, that's so great. Before you know it, Cordelia is back, and she's like, make me yak. Keep your mom age mitts off my boyfriend.
Former
ex-boyfriend.
And because Joyce tells her, she's like, Cordelia, go back upstairs. This is between us.
Yeah, and she's like, no. So
And
she forces Joyce outside of her own house.
And she's like, why has everyone gone insane to Xander? And he's like, oh, and I hate this. He's like, insane? Is it that impossible to believe other women would be attracted to me?
It's great.
Buddy.
Listen, yes.
Fella.
Then you hear Joyce from outside. She's like, it's okay, Xander.
Yeah. And Cordelia's like, the only way you could get girls to want you would be witchcraft. And Joyce breaks into the kitchen. She breaks the glass of the back door.
Breaks into her own back door.
And Cordelia's like, oh my God. And we both died laughing. So Joyce says, Xander, honey, it's me. It's Joycey. Let me in.
Which is the same affectionate term that Ted used for Joyce.
Oh my
which
God.
drove all of us like
Insane.
wild. But evidently Joycey's
into it.
Joycey. Good for her.
Yeah. And they run up to Buffy's room. They lock the door and they're like, okay, we're safe. But you're not.
But you're not, because all of a sudden, if things couldn't get more complicated or be spinning any faster, we're going to throw Angelus into the mix.
He grabs Xander and yanks him out the window. Yeah. And he's like, and he's full vamp.
Full vamp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Angelus has Xander on the lawn. And he's like, hey,
where's Buffy?
Where's Buffy? And he's like, well, I think she's at the school or something.
No, he yells up. He goes, Cordelia, get out of here. Like, go. And Angel's like, this isn't quite what I had in mind, but
this'll do.
This'll do.
Yeah, because he wants to leave Buffy a Valentine's gift.
He does.
In the way of like a corpse. I think he had the intention of going there and either doing something to her and or Joyce, but since Buffy wasn't in the mix, he's like, you'll do.
Yeah, because I think he says, I wanted to do something for Buffy. Well, to Buffy.
To Buffy for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and I think Xander tries to hit him, and Xander, I think, is like trying to fight him, but he's ineffectual.
He is. Angel
lifts him up, and he's like about to bite him. He says, if it's any consolation, I feel really close to you right now.
Which, hey.
Xander has wanted that since season 1.
He's been waiting to hear that.
But Angel is interrupted. Angelus is interrupted.
Stopped by a woman, and I'm thinking it's Buffy.
So is Xander. He's like, Buffy, how? It's not Buffy.
It's not. Who is it?
Drusilla.
It's Drusilla, and she's in full vamp face too.
And before we get into this, I think this could be our Black Box Theater for the episode. What do you think?
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So,
Jennifer.
Ryan.
Jennifer Nicole.
Wow. Full on government name out here.
It is.
I think it's time. Do you think it's time? Are you feeling dramatique?
Daily. Yes.
Let's give the people what they want.
Brooding.
You have. I've noticed. Really giving it your all.
Thanks.
It's time for a little vampire black box theater. On today's episode of Vampire Black Box Theater, the role of Drusilla will be played by Ryan Something, and the roles of Angelus and Xander will be played by me, Jen Katz. Scene. They're in the front yard of Buffy's house.
Angel pins Xander to the ground, wrenches his head to one side, baring his tender white neck. Angel opens wide, moves in for the kill. Hands grab Angel and easily pull him off, throw him against a tree. Xander looks up, grateful.
Buffy, how?
But he stops when he sees the rescuer. He's dumbfounded. Drusilla smiles down at him and extends a hand. Don't fret, my kitten. Mommy's here. Xander backs away from her, but she grabs him, helps him up.
I don't know what you're up to, Drew, but it doesn't amuse.
Drusilla turns to Angel, seething, petting a horrified Xander all the while. If you so much as harmed one head on this boy's precious head.
You've got to be kidding.
Now, just because I finally found a real man.
Real man? I guess I really did drive you crazy.
He fades back as Drusilla concentrates on her new boy toy. She gazes at him lovingly, traces the lines of his eyes. His lips. Your face is a poem. I can read it.
Really? It doesn't say spare him by any chance?
She bares her vamp teeth. How do you feel about eternal life?
Don't you think we could start with coffee? A movie, maybe?
Drusilla smiles. bends his neck. Xander struggles, desperate, when suddenly the night is filled with hostile shouts. Drusilla looks up, wide-eyed. It's the mob.
Scene.
Nice. Well done.
You too.
Xander and Angelus.
I really felt Drusilla's spirit
Thank you.
in the room with us. Thank you.
Do my best.
That scene is one of my like.
It's just great because both Angel and Xander are dumbfounded.
They're like, what?
What is happening here? And the audience for the past hour has been like, what is happening here?
Yeah. I didn't even think they would do something like this.
It's fun.
It's fun. The fact to see Drusilla a part
Above
of this.
ground, right?
Yeah.
Hunting, right?
I mean, they fully planned on doing something to Buffy, and
They got more than they bargained for. Angelus doesn't really know what's going on.
He has no idea. And it's just really funny that this spell is so, I mean, tip of the cap to Amy. Her magic is,
It's
vampires aren't even immune.
beyond what she expected.
Yeah. And like we said in so now the mob has shown up. Willow is the leader, still with an axe.
She's a leader of the pack.
She's got an axe.
Her boyfriend's hot and everybody wants him. Hey now, Willow.
Don't know the song.
She's got an axe.
Yeah, she does.
My boyfriend's back. You don't know the song. My
No.
boyfriend's back. My boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble. Hey.
The mob is there, and there's some new additions.
We need a hook for one another.
Right. Just got it.
All right.
Jenny Calendar's in the mob. We see the lunch
The
lady.
mob is full of everyone. Yeah, the
Yeah.
lunch lady. They all have certain instruments too. So like the lunch
Yes.
lady has a rolling pin. Willow has the axe.
Joyce is holding a knife.
Joyce has the kitchen knife.
Because doesn't she, when they're back in
Yeah.
Buffy's house, Joyce has a
Mhm.
knife. She's like,
She does.
if I can't have you, nobody
No
can.
one can. Yeah.
We have to end it.
Yes, and that's the dangerous
Yeah.
part that Giles was trying to point out. Like, hey, you can't cast these sort of spells because if something goes wrong, it can be very dangerous because these individuals will stop at nothing, and if they can't have you,
Yeah.
then they will harm themselves or other people
To get to you.
right? Because
Yeah.
that's what the spell is. It's like you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't do anything. Like you have to have that
Yeah.
in order to survive.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, here we go. So they all surround Xander. I mean, Willow's about to
axe him.
Because he's been pinned to the
I'm
ground.
very uncomfortable with this axe. It's been thrown around 3 times now.
It's very aggressive.
It could hurt someone.
Well, Cordelia comes out, wrestles the axe from Willow.
Throws Willow
Yeah.
across the yard. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow,
Cordelia.
Cordelia's got some strength.
Yeah. And Drusilla's also in the mob now. I mean,
Yeah.
Xander and Cordelia run back into Buffy's house and they're like, okay, what are we going to do? Nothing.
They Katie bar the door, and then all of a sudden the door flies off its hinges and knocks them down because Drusilla is powerful enough. She's a vampire to do that. And you're thinking, oh,
it's
they're
done.
not getting away. I mean, Drusilla's faster than the speed of light. She could catch up with them,
kill them
or
both,
be in front of them in a heartbeat. But alas,
she can't get in.
She cannot enter.
She's not been invited into Buffy's home.
You cannot pass.
Thank you. I was hoping that was going to happen.
Got it.
And old Angelus is like, guess not, Drew.
Yes, you need an invite. Meanwhile, he has one, but doesn't go in.
He could go in.
He could have gone in.
He could have gone in and snapped everyone's neck.
And been done with it. And been like, Happy Valentine's Day.
Buff. But I guess he probably was. I think he was probably worried about Drusilla if he tried to hurt Xander. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, because she was threatening him. Like, he probably doesn't want to.
Yeah, he's probably like, hey, let's get to the bottom of this. It's Valentine's Day and you just threatened me? I'm your boyfriend.
I'm your sire.
One of your boyfriends.
Man, I'm one of your boyfriends.
I'm your unicorn.
Oh my gosh. And
he is.
So they end up in the basement, Xander and Cordelia do, which is what they tend to do.
There we go again. Yeah.
And they're barring the door, but everyone's knocking. And she's like, you know, what do we do now? Do we wait for Buffy to come? And Xander's like, well, I wouldn't hold my breath because she's a getting rat.
She's a rat.
And
R-A-T.
we cut to Oz in the basement. He's still looking for Buffy.
Yeah.
And then we go to the science lab where Giles and Amy are getting their brews ready.
They are. They're working on a potion. They're trying to reverse the spell.
Yeah. And then we go back to Buffy's basement and all the women are like banging on the door like, Xander.
Yeah.
Xander!
Joyce's knife comes through the door and they're
Oh,
like,
geez.
oh, wow. Okay, here they come.
Yeah. And before they get fully waylaid, Cordelia's like, if we die in here, I'm going to kick your ass. I mean it.
Nice.
He's like, none of this would have happened if you wouldn't have broken up with me. No, none of this would have happened if you hadn't got your fucking feelings hurt so bad that you wanted to take revenge on everybody and
learn how to process your emotions.
Non-consensually taken over these people's minds and emotions by casting the spell. You did this.
Yeah. You did it, buddy.
He needs industrial strength therapy.
I mean,
yeah.
Come on. And then Cordelia, because I think he says, you did this because you're so desperate to be popular. And she's like, no. You embraced the black arts to get girls to like you. Well, congratulations, it worked. And then he says, it would have worked fine, except your hide's so thick that not even magic can penetrate it. And I hate that she says, you did this for me?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not a good thing. This is a red flag. This is a red flag the size of the state of Texas.
Right.
Run.
Yeah.
Goodbye, run.
But no, she sees it as,
it's romantic.
Well, it's romantic. He did this for me, which caused so much trouble. So he must really like me. And it's like, oh my God, wake up.
And so we cut to, because as you said, like the knife starts coming through the door. The like small window in the basement gets broken through. I mean, it's chaos.
And we're back to the lab.
The lab.
And Giles and Amy cast their first spell.
Yes.
To undo the effects of they cast a second spell to undo the effects of the first spell.
Wait, they changed Buffy back first.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry. That was.
I was going to say the first spell, and then like there was already a first spell.
Yeah.
So now Amy has cast a second spell to undo the effects of the first spell that she cast
on Buffy.
Yeah,
she invokes Hecate,
because they want to get Buffy back.
Yeah, she says, goddess of creatures great and small, I conjure thee to withdraw.
And we get the special effects again.
In the boiler room or the basement, whatever. Yeah, we see the swirly magic, which is cool.
Swirly magic. And then we're cut to Oz and Buffy in the boiler room, and Oz is calling for Buffy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we see this green light start sparkling around.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Buffy pops up.
And
she's naked.
Like, whoa.
She's not wearing any clothes
because
she lost them when she became a rat.
Her trench coat.
They're upstairs at the library.
All she had on was a trench coat.
Yeah. That we know of.
Oof. And so they go back to the basement and Xander grabs a wrench and he's like, just get behind me, Cordelia. Because they're all the women are busting in.
Yeah, they're coming in.
Except for, what's her face? Drusilla. Thank heavens, because everybody would have been dead. And we go back to the lab and Giles again invokes Diana. Diana, goddess of love, be gone. Hear no more of your siren song.
The third of the 3 spells.
Yeah. And so I guess technically there's 4 because we see the love spell.
The first one with
the love spell. Buffy turned into a rat.
Oh, that was one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Forget my spell numbers. I'm totally off. There's been 4. You're right.
Yep. I've seen this a lot.
All right, I quit.
Goodbye. This is a podcast with me.
Great. You can join my Pete's Dragon podcast. We're coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Suck it, nerd.
Suck it.
So we go to the basement and they're all like on top of Xander and Cordelia at this point. It's not good.
Yeah, no, there's going to be bloodshed if they're not too careful. But just in the nick of time,
the spell is cast.
And it works. And we start seeing the fancy, flashy green lights all over the basement. And then everyone is sane again. They're like, where am I? I think Jenny Calendar's like, where am I?
Yeah. And then in the meantime, we cut back to the boiler room basement where Buffy's like, hello, to Oz. I seem to have a slight case of nudity. And Oz says, well, you're not a rat. Call it an upside. And she's like, could you grab me some clothes? And he's like, oh yeah, got you. Don't go anywhere. And she's like, really not an issue. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And when
Buffy and the Buff, we go back to Buffy's house. And Jenny Calendar's like, what happened? Joyce, I think, is like, what are we doing? And Cordelia says, wow, that was the craziest scavenger hunt ever. She's good at that kind of stuff.
Yep. And We cut immediately to the school hallway.
That's right. Next day,
Buff and Xander in the hallway, and Buffy's like, a scavenger hunt? And Xander's like, well, your mom seemed to believe it. And she's like, I think she's so wigged out at hitting on one of my friends. She's like repressing her emotions. And Xander says, well, I'm back to being a nerd and super unpopular. And Buffy's like, well, hey, at least no one's trying to axe murder you. Upside. And then he says, Willow won't even talk to me. And I'm glad Buffy says this. Well, any particular reason why she should?
Yeah.
Xander. Yeah.
Buddy.
And
not a buddy.
Not a buddy. And, she's like, hey, this was really this was harder on Willow than it was for anybody else. She loved you before you invoked the great roofie spirit. And I'm like, see, you're calling it magical roofie.
Yeah.
You're calling it what it is. And everyone's still like,
the showrunners, the writers, they
Xander,
Xander, you just roofied the entire town.
Yeah. And Xander says, you remember it, huh? And she's like, oh, yeah. I remember coming on to you, begging you to undress me, and then a sudden need for cheese, which that made me laugh.
That was great. And I was like, oh, sounds like a perfect date night.
Yeah, actually. And then she says, but I remember that you didn't. And he was like, he tries to make a joke, need cheese. And she goes, undress me. It meant a lot to me what you said. And he's like, I would never take advantage of you like that, except he tried to. He actually tried to in the episode The Pack, even though he was possessed, he still tried and then lied about remembering doing that. And then even right here, he's like, I would never take advantage of you like that. Okay, it was touch and go for a minute. Don't even fucking joke like that.
Yeah.
He joked about her giving him a lap dance earlier. Fucking cue the button.
I'm sick. I need help.
I hate it.
He does. This character certainly needs help. It's very problematic. And I mean, I'm at a loss for words. I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't know why the showrunners and the writers want to kind of tie this up in the end where he looks like he's the good guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he restrained himself when so many other women were throwing themselves at him, and it's like
we're supposed to give him a gold star,
but you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for what should be expected from someone. The fact that it got this far because of how he was feeling, because of his true intention, doesn't really sit well with me.
And he did this.
He did.
He threw a hissy fit because he got broken up with and decided, I'm going to get revenge on Cordelia.
Yeah.
It backfired. And then all this happened. It's just, I don't think Xander deserves a pat on the back. And Buffy's like, there's still hope for you yet. No. No. I'm sorry. No.
I mean, he's a teenager. Maybe he could be reformed. Maybe there is hope for this kid. I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? But no.
Yeah.
Not after what we've seen.
So he's like, I think he says, tell that to Cordelia. And she's like, you're on your own. So we cut to Harmony and Cordelia, and Harmony's like, Cody Weinberg called me at home last night. And they're like, ooh, the one with the 350 SL. Is that a BMW? What is that? I don't know what that car is.
It's a Mercedes.
It's a Mercedes. And, he's like, she says he's going to take me to this pledge dance. And they're all like, blah, blah, blah. Xander and Harmony quite literally run into each other. Mm-hmm. She makes a little quip.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I'm really glad your mom quit her job at the drive-thru so she could dress you, which is so mean.
She's really mean. And
so mean.
I have to say, there's a sleigh here. There's two sleighs.
There's two sleighs.
Cordelia's outfit.
Oh, yeah.
She's back into one of these button-up shirts again, but
this one's better than the one from earlier.
It's worn well because it's paired with a skirt and some leggings and like some shoes. Anyway, it works.
Yeah, she looks great.
Then there's a background artist. And background artists, if you're also a fan of Buffy and you're listening to our podcast and you starred in this episode, let us know. But she's wearing a purple skirt with an orange and black cropped sweater. I mean,
looks great.
Taking the attention off of Cordelia.
Honestly.
It's a great outfit.
Yeah. And Xander just looks a little sad and he walks off. And then Harmony's like, oh my God, did you see Jennifer's backpack? And Cordelia says, Harmony, shut up.
Yeah.
And Xander still can hear her. And he's like, you know what you are, Harmony? You're a sheep. And Harmony's like, oh, I'm not a sheep. And Cordelia says, you're a sheep. Sweaters are made from your woolly coat. All you ever do is what everyone else does, so you can say you did it first. And here I am, scrambling for your approval when I'm way cooler than you are because I'm not a sheep. I do what I want. I wear what I want. And you know what? I'll date whoever I want, no matter how lame he is.
Love that she threw that in.
I know.
And Xander, of course, heard that.
And because he's smiling and he hears that and he's kind of like,
Yeah. But he'll take it, right?
Yeah. And she goes up and grabs his hand and they walk off and she's like, oh God, what did I do?
It's very big of her. And also, I got to say, if it was anyone else, I'd be cheering.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is great. And it is good. This is good development for the character of Cordelia.
Yes.
Great. The fact that you're applying this to someone like Xander, who quite frankly, just doesn't deserve it.
No.
Has almost the opposite effect for me. So at a moment where I should have been like, yeah, I was kind of like,
yeah, same.
You know what I mean?
Well, and then when they leave, he's like, it'll be okay. They'll talk to you again. And I promise when we're around each other, we'll fight a lot. Or when we're around your friends, we'll fight a lot. There's just, okay.
Yeah,
but that's the end of the episode.
That's the end of the episode. So herein lies the lesson. Don't cast spells without thinking it out. No, don't cast spells if it's for revenge. Don't cast revenge spells. Is that what we want to say? What's
I would
the
say,
message here?
don't. How about if you get rejected, maybe don't go on a revenge quest where you can hurt other people.
Learn to process your feelings in a healthy way.
There you go. Learn to process your feelings in a healthy way.
Start by talking about them.
You know what?
This breakup
really sucks.
And I don't understand. And maybe we could talk about it some more. And is this a popularity thing? And if it is, maybe you need to take a closer look at that.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay, well, this sucks. I'm going to go ahead and just like cast a spell on you and make you suffer the way that I did. I mean, that's just terrible.
It's not good. Well, you know what time it is.
Oh, someone put a stake in me.
So glad we got to see Spike this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know.
Okay. For me, this is okay.
Okay. Because we gave last episode a 2.5. We gave Phases a 2.5.
This is I keep thinking this is a 2.5, but it might even be lower than that for me because there's not a whole lot of connectivity for the storyline moving forward within the series from this episode. However, I think I'm going to leave it at a 2.5 because we get Ginny and Giles. We have a little bit of glimpse of what's going on there.
Yeah.
We get Buffy post Angelus.
Mm-hmm.
We have Willow and Oz who are leaning into their relationship. And so we get to see both of those characters. We've got Cordelia and Xander, which are the focus point of this episode, obviously. And we get Joyce.
Yeah.
And we get Spike and Drusilla. So we're checking all the character boxes for us. And we get Harmony back. And we get Amy back.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of familiar faces here that make this a very enjoyable episode to tune into.
Yeah.
But I don't see where the storyline really impacts the greater arc of this series and even of what's been going on for this season.
Yeah.
But it's better than some woolly mammoth monster of the week that completely derails and focuses on the other side.
Gibby Kane or good pal Gibb.
Stop with the hunter. No. So yeah, for a lot of reasons, and I didn't find too many things from this episode that I'm like really good nuggets, and so I got to bump it up to a 3, and I got to explain myself. I think this episode speaks for itself.
Yeah.
There's so much of Xander in here that irks me.
Yeah.
That they try to spin as something that we're just supposed to eat and accept, and I just can't. So this is a 2 or 2.5 for me.
Okay.
2.5 probably because of all the characters. What's yours?
I'm going to give it a 3. Wow. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, cool.
Because if I'm comparing it to something like Phases, and if I have to look at what I would rather watch again, it's this episode. Yeah. Because look, Xander's love spell is problematic. It's violation. Yeah. It's all the things we talked about in our coverage. I don't like it. I don't like, as you just pointed out, that he never really has to deal with the consequences of this. Willow is eventually going to forgive him. Everybody's going to keep it pumping just like they did after the pack.
Right.
And it was just so harmful to do to, his original intent was to get revenge on Cordelia. I don't like the fact that at the end she's like, you did this for me?
Yeah.
Huh. What I do like is the acting and the writing in some ways. Like Allison Hannigan when she's having to be a vamp
Yeah. Okay.
is
yeah.
great.
All right.
Sarah Michelle Gellar was stunning.
Yeah. No,
Having Drusilla be affected by the love spell and like going toe to toe with one of her boyfriends over harming Xander is great.
Okay.
And Angel being like,
yeah,
what the fuck are we doing?
All right.
The scene with Angel, Spike, and Drew, where we're getting to see their dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Amy's back, like you said. Harmony's back. We see Cordelia basically say, "Yo, I'm strong. I'm cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna do what I want to do." And it does lay some groundwork for overarching themes. I can't get into some of it because you haven't seen past season 5, but it's a 3 for me. Again, not unproblematic, but if I had to go by a metric of like watching phases, last week's episode or this again, I'm gonna watch this all day. So it's a 3 for me.
All right. Well, you make some very good points, and I don't think that I've changed my rating very often.
You haven't. I don't think you haven't. Is this the first?
You make some very good points, and I'm going to bump mine back up to a 3.
Ah, yay.
That was good because the writing.
I mean, Jenny Calendar, Rovia Lamort all over Xander too. Funny.
Take the age out of this.
Yeah.
And let's just consider these all adults who are going through this crisis.
Right.
The scripting is really.
It's funny.
It's well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
In ways that just really lean into the whole obsession with Xander.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. So, okay.
Wow. Well, stay tuned to our spoiler section for tips of what might be coming up in this season and in future seasons.
Except for season 6 and 7. We do not spoil anything that's happened in season 6 or 7.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if you enjoyed today's episode, and I really hope you did, please be sure to like and subscribe on your preferred streaming service, including YouTube. We've had a lot of interaction over on YouTube. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already, like and subscribe. It really helps us out.
Join us.
Yeah.
And don't miss our Unhinged podcast episodes that come out on Wednesdays. You can watch and listen to Once More, a rewatch podcast, and Unhinged episodes on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio.
And to keep up with our new episode drops and see additional fun content, go ahead, follow us on social media. We are at Once More Podcast on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and Threads. We are technically the Once More Pod on X, but as I say every episode, X is weird. I'm not really messing with it.
So thank you for tuning in to Once More. We'll see you next Friday for episode 17 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 2, Passion.
Oof. Oof.
Ooh.
Oof.
Stick with us for the spoiler section if you want to know more.
I'm Jen Katz.
And I'm Ryan something.
And remember, it's time for me to face this like a man and run. Bye.
Nice.
Spoilers. Okay, yeah. So next week, Jenny Calendar's gonna die.
Fuck. You're just out with that.
Out with it. Next week she's gone. Jesus. They finally all come around. Buffy gives her a somewhat reluctant blessing to Giles to pursue it, and Angelus kills her and leaves a note for Giles from her, and he follows like a trail of rose petals up to his bedroom where Jenny's supposed to be, and she's there with her neck snapped.
Fuck me.
I mean, they show Angelus just snapping her neck with glee, with joyful abandon in the school. Yeah, it's really sad. This is the first. I mean, we lost Jesse.
That motherfucker. We
lost Jesse in season 1, but that didn't hit. We knew him for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
We lost, Teresa. We lost
last
Ted.
Episode, yeah.
This is the first real high stakes death in this show.
It's the first kind of main character death, right?
I can't imagine having watched this live and being like,
something like that.
Yeah. So we're gonna lose.
How many more episodes are there in this season? Do you know? We'll be
17. I think there's 21. We're almost done with season 2. Holy moly. Oh, great.
I know. Feels good.
Okay. So in the other thing in the spoiler zone,
What's up?
a couple things. Amy. So Amy
Amy.
turns Buffy into a
Yeah.
witch. Amy turns Buffy into a rat.
Uh-huh.
And then next season, in the episode Gingerbread, Amy turns herself into a rat because she's being burned at the stake by Joyce
okay.
and her members of Moo.
That's right. I forgot.
Mothers,
the mothers against
opposed
magic.
to the mothers opposed to the occult.
Mhm.
And she stays as a rat because no one else can figure out how to change her back. Willow takes her with her to college.
Yeah.
Keeps her in her room.
I forgot about this.
And there's
It's so great.
in the episode Something Blue in season 4 or 5, I can't remember, where Willow's going through it and she basically is like, I can't remember. Her magic's gone wonky and you see Amy in like the background of her dorm room change back to Amy, back to a rat, and like back to Amy, back to a rat. We do see Amy in season 6. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so we get her back.
Amy is an important character. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So trying to
Any
think.
other spoilers?
I mean, just seeing Harmony is always great because she's going to get turned into a vampire and she's going to be a vampire. And we get her in, is it season 4 when she and Spike are dating, or season 5?
So.
Yeah. And that's always great. Her little blondie bear. Yes, because she gets Spike tries to stake her when he thinks she's wearing the Okay.
Harmony's a really cool character that
she's great.
At first, I didn't really care for. You know, she's the mean girl.
She's typical mean girl,
and there's not a whole lot of development in her character for you to like really latch onto her and be like, I like her. But as we progress forward into the seasons and we get to see her arc, her character arc, as you know, I really like Harmony. She's great when she becomes Harmony Vampire. Here for it.
I think I'm gonna reach out to Mercedes McNabb and just see if we could get her on for an episode. So anyway, that is the spoiler section, and we will see you next week. Bring your tissues. It's gonna be a sad one.
That's right, and don't forget to tune into our Unhinged episodes on Wednesday.
Yeah. So this is coming out. Fuck, I don't know. Yeah, just be sure. Yeah, catch us next Wednesday on Unhinged.
There you go. All right.
Bye.
Ciao.